in bed, richer and poor, sickness and in health, unto death do you.
Hey, it's the Toxic Ring Scandal featuring TBK, the Turnbuckle King. We are here at it again. We're here to talk about, it's been a hot topic this week, talking about why Bobby left WWE the first time back in 2008. Now, I know there's been news going around. Of course, we all know that I covered before that Bobby Lashley's leaving WWE due to disagreements and various reasons. We know that, but we are talking about not recently in 2024. We are talking about why Bobby Lashley really left WWE back in 2008. If you guys remember, this was Bobby Lashley's original run. If you guys remember, this is Bobby Lashley when he was, involved in a lot of storylines. We got to remember, this is Bobby that he was involved in lots of, he was a star. He was the former ECW World Champion. He was definitely getting pushed a lot. If you guys remember, he was doing a lot back at that time. And I believe he was going to be, the next big star, at least right after Cena. And I believe right before he could really reach his full potential, I believe so. That's what caused him he just left. He left the company, and it was quite a big shocker. If you guys remember, quite a big shocker. Now, we know Bobby, he was a military man. He amateur wrestler. He served time military and amateur wrestler. He did quite a bit. When Bobby Lashley came in, I talked about him before. He was pushed very heavily in his, in the beginning stage of his run. Remember, he was into the storyline with Donald Trump. He wrestled for Donald Trump. He won at WrestleMania, the Battle vs. Billionaires match. That was something to remember. And as soon as we thought we was going to see more Bobby Lashley, or we thought he was really going to get pushed to the top of the whole WWE food chain, he asked for release. So that's crazy, though. Definitely wild. CUK to the locker room. CeeLo Myers, salute. We salute. That's right. We here at the locker room. And we also live on Facebook and X. We'll be there for a little bit. And, of course, we're going to air the dirty laundry. You know how we do over here. So, yeah, we're going to talk about why Bobby really left WWE in 2008. But Bobby was definitely pushed. He was definitely a guy that was going places. And he even had a great solid match with John Cena at the Great American Bash 2007. And he ended up leaving. That's the crazy part about it. We all thought that Bobby was going to stick around. We all thought he was going to be around for quite some time, but he wasn't. But I just wish more could have been done, with Bobby in order to keep him to stay. But the question is, back to his 2008 release, the release he requested. Why did he really leave? Back in 2008? Because now this marks, since he did leave, this will be the second time Bobby has left WWE. Second time, guys. That's the crazy part about it. Let's get the likes up while we in here. Those likes up. Don't cost you anything. Just a click away. Now, we'll talk about it. Now, since he was involved in the Battle of Billionaires match, there are rumors, let's say, or say alleged. There are rumors to say that he left due to the WrestleMania 23 payout. There are reports stating that Bobby Lashley was unhappy with his pay of WrestleMania 23. This is what led to his release. That's what they're saying. That's the buzz going around back then. And I remember this before podcasts, social media. This was still when radio was a thing. Radio was still big and all that stuff. You had all the major radio networks, especially the ones for the wrestling industry. But they're saying that because he didn't get paid enough money, that's why he left WWE, and that's what caused him to ask for release. Now we know Bobby. I mean, this guy's done it all. Let's give him his accomplishments. He is a former WWE champion, former ECW champion, former Intercontinental, and also a former United States champion. He has held all the belts in the WWE as far as for the men's division. The only title I know he did not hold, which is a team title, is the tag team titles. He didn't hold that, but every singles championship, he pretty much held it. You know, he held all the singles championship that could to of anything. So that's the good thing about Bobby. He is a well accomplished, but we gotta see what happened. What led to this release? I mean, Bobby was up there. Other than Cena, other than Batista at the time, Bobby was up there. You know, he was feuding with Finlay, feuded with Booker T. He feuded with Vince McMahon himself. Everything. This man was going to the top. He was going to the top. He even feuded with Vince McMahon over the ECW championship. If you guys remember that, he feuded with Vince over that title, and I think they even had a rivalry on ECW, and that's when Vince did win the ECW title. So that's the crazy part about that. He was involved in a lot of stuff here, lots of stuff here. So I like to see, what happened with Bobby, and I always wonder, why was he gone that quick? Why was Bobby gone at the peak of his career? I mean, it was strange, but I know he was involved in a lot of storylines back then, and I just wish he wouldn't have left. But like I said, there are rumors about why he left and what's the reason for it. He was unhappy, and he went on to move on, do more. That's when he went to do TNA, and of course, he did the whole, MMA. He did stuff like that, a sort. We know that happened too. He did that later on, and he came back, but he really earned his name the most when he was doing, he earned a lot of credit, and when he started to get a name, honestly, this was back in the TNA days when he was TNA World Champion, and that's when he had Kristal with him. And we'll get to more to Bobby and Kristal in a second, but they're going over over why Bobby left. Like I say, he was involved in he was a big storyline with Vince McMahon, ECW title. So we're going to talk more about that, though. Chris Gillespie, salute to you, say he came in as a bodyguard. A lot of them come as bodyguards. Sheamus came as a bodyguard. Damian Priest came as a bodyguard. I believe Ron Breaker was a bodyguard. They all allowed come in bodyguard. But yeah. But Bobby Lashley, I know he's mostly known for WWE. Like I said, he was in the Army and sort. I didn't hear Bobby was in the bodyguard. Who was he a bodyguard for in what segment? I haven't heard that part. He was a bodyguard. Salute to the chat, Figure 4 TV. But we're going to talk about what's the real reason why Bobby left. And the question is, did he leave due to WrestleMania 23 payout? That's the question about it. Now, there is an interview with good old JR. And, he was over town at that time. He's going to talk about why did Bobby Lashley really leave WWE back in 2008? What caused his release? What caused him want to leave? So let's get into that, and then we'll react to that. And we'll dig in deep in more of what caused Bobby to leave. Let's get the likes up, guys.
Clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
We should mention, though, the reason that I keep bringing this up, adding that he's in the quote unquote real main event. I mean, the thing that helped draw the house, the Battle of the Billionaires. And then less than a year later, he's gone. And Meltzer would write, Lashley received $250,000 for the WrestleMania match and complained to many of his friends, but was insistent that was not the reason he quit the company. He was already bothered by a shoulder injury at the time of his biggest push, but worked through it until the end of July when he opted for surgery on a torn rotator cuff. While he was out, the company quietly fired his girlfriend, Kristal Marshall, considered shocking because usually the girlfriend of a star the level of Lashley is protected. Even though out of action for the last 5 months of the year, Lashley still earned right at $1 million, but in January, he made the decision to not go back on the road and quit the promotion. He was given a complete release, here it is, on the terms he would not publicly disparage the company. That makes me raise an eyebrow and say, the fuck happened?
Don't know. John Laurinaitis is in charge of talent, Conrad. We talked about that. How would I know? I don't know what it was. Sure. I have no clue. I know that I'm always oftentimes scratching my head about how Meltzer knows the exact things the guys make, unless he's talking to those talents.
Right.
Because I was doing the payoffs. He sure as fuck didn't get it from me. I can promise you that. That never, ever, ever did we talk about that. And I've talked to Dave plenty of times in my life. I consider him a friend. But I didn't share that information with anybody. So obviously it was somebody on Bobby's side or Bobby himself complaining about his payoff. How would he know what a payoff should be?
Right. How
would he know what a good payoff for that show would be? What number would he utilize? And so here's what I'll tell you. It's one of the oldest tricks in the wrestling locker room. Guys will stick a sharp stick, a dog with a sharp stick, and just to hear him bark. So Bobby being, naive in a lot of ways, he didn't understand how. I remember talking to him about that payoff. And you make $250,000 for a day's work.
Oh, yeah, hard to beat.
I have a hard time defending that you're underpaid. And so a $250,000 payoff or payday is a pretty damn impressive in my world, my Oklahoma world, quite frankly. But some guys would get the talents to tell them what they made on a payoff, and then say, well, man, you got screwed.
Well,
so-and-so made this, and guys believe it.
In fairness, though, if you hear, oh, we grossed $46 million, and well, shit, I'm in the prime time spot, and I made $250,000 million, commensurate to, and I realize it's different, but commensurate to the paydays you would see in MMA or boxing, you might say, well, shit, I didn't get my fair shake here. I should have made well over $1 million if the total gross was $46 million. And again, that's the gross. That's not the net. That's before you pay for the building and the promotion and the travel and et cetera, et cetera.
And everybody else on the card.
Yes.
There's only so much money allotted for the payroll. The talent pool monies was formulaic. So when I got the payoff, the sheets, they had the big box. Here's what the total talent budget is for this event. And so now it's the discretionary aspect comes into play. As long as talents are being paid discretionary monies, you're always going to have this exact same discussion, because all of a sudden a wrestler becomes a fucking accountant.
Hey, let me ask, and I'm not asking this to be funny, because I realize you're going to laugh at just the premise of the question, but we often hear guys like, well, just recently, Paul Heyman, he had a contract as a performer, and he had a contract as like a head writer. Well, I know that exists for talent too. So like Triple H has a contract for the work he does behind the scenes, but then he also has a performer contract. When a guy like Vince McMahon has a big role on a pay-per-view like this, does he too, for the purpose of accounting, not because he fucking needs it, but for the purpose of accounting, does he too get a performer payoff?
He could, but he didn't take it.
Okay.
He could. And I would always start out budgeting his payoff as a talent into my accounting, into my payoff sheet. But in the very beginning, he said, spread the money out to other guys.
Right.
Or he may have something with Austin. So just give my payday to Steve, type deal. That was never an issue. So that'll hopefully answer your question.
Oh no, it does. I mean, I just know sometimes people would hear that and they would think, Well, no, stupid. Whatever's left over, he keeps. Well, not exactly. I mean, it is a publicly traded company, and it, just as a function of accounting, sometimes if you have a role that you do and everyone else was paid for that role, then maybe legally you have to be paid for that too. But we can scale it way, way down to it's just the minimum. And I mean,
No.
I think in the movie business, they call it scale or whatever. So we have to pay you something, but it'll be a minuscule amount, but there's at least something on the books. But Vince didn't always do that, you're saying?
I don't remember him ever taking a payoff.
Okay. Well, listen, this is quite a tangled little web for Bobby Lashley, but he's gone for the company for more than a decade. As you know by now, he moves on to work some indie shots and does very well for himself in TNA, dabbles in MMA and does very well for himself there. Comes back and finds himself in a primetime spot with WWE again. He's obviously one of those never say nevers, but given the way he left and as long as he stayed away, I think a lot of people thought, well, he's probably done. Along the way, did you see any of his stuff he did with Impact?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I watched a lot of wrestling, and yeah. I mean, Bobby kept working on his game, and he was fun to watch. I take exception to the way that he left argument in the respect of comparing it to his 10-year absence. Being gone a decade and coming back was much more impressive and unique to me than quote unquote how he left. He left hurt. He'd made a lot of money. That he had a great year. I think he got a little burned out too. Again, we're not talking about a guy who's a lifer. Now he's become a lifer, but he'd gone through the growing process, the whole 9 yards. So I think that his 10-year absence and coming back and then having a position as he does today of some level of main event significance is much more unique than his exit.
We should mention, if you're curious, he did very well in MMA. He had 17 matches, 15 wins, 2 losses. One of his losses was to James Thompson. He would go back and avenge that one in 54 seconds and pick up a win. So, I think no matter if you were an Impact guy or you were a WWE guy, no matter where your allegiances were pro wrestling wise, whenever one of the quote unquote boys ventures off into MMA, they pretty much get unanimous support from wrestlers nationwide. Do they not?
Oh yeah. One of our own,
Right.
That's guys that were in the pro wrestling business that had never met Brock Lesnar became big fans of Brock Lesnar, the UFC star.
Right.
And I think even though the Bellators pull their horns in right now during the virus, Jake Hager is on that same type of role. He hasn't lost yet, and so So I think everybody supports our at least we should, and I think that we do. So I think the best illustration is again, guys that never knew who Brock Lesnar. They knew who he was. I think that's stupid to say, but who didn't know him personally, took a personal investment in his career in the UFC, which was pretty significant.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube.
All right. That is Bobby Lashley being talked about with Grilling with JR. They're talking about Bobby Lashley. Now, the whole thing, I played that because it was rumors that he was upset with his WrestleMania 23 income payout. And his payout was reportedly alleged $250,000. Remember, he wrestled for Donald Trump, Battle of the Billionaires, Trump versus McMahon, in which Bobby wrestled for Trump and the late Umaga wrestled for Vince McMahon. Now, they said that's not pretty much the case, and I don't think so either. But we're going to, like I said, we're going to dig a little bit more, and it's definitely dirty laundry coming. And it's not the reason why he decided to leave WWE in 2008. It's another reason, and I think you guys can see the proof in the pudding on the thumbnail. Have I said? Yes, I will say it right here and right now. And I believe the reason is very simple, very, very simple. And the one person I believe that made Bobby want to leave WWE, one Vince McMahon, they want so much money. It was Kristal Marshall. Now, Kristal Marshall, this was Bobby Lashley's ex-girlfriend. the children of his two kids. They have two kids together. As you can see, they have a son and a daughter together. There's these two young kids. I think his son name is Miles. I forgot his daughter name. That's with Kristal, and that's them with Bobby. Those are his children. Now they dated from 2007 to 2010. Now they was even in TNA together for a little bit. When he left to go WWE, he went TNA. He brought Kristal with her first. Then later, she after their relationship didn't work out, she left TNA, and I don't think she ever been involved wrestling again. But this is her again. Nice looking woman, nice physique. She in shape. I don't know how old this photo is, but she got a little short haircut, got a little shape on her. But this is Bobby Lashley's ex. His and they kept saying they was married. Bobby and Chris were never married, unless married in the eyes of God. That's another whole avenue there, but they was not legally married. And this is a picture of her here. Now we know that she was involved in a storyline. Kristal Marshall herself. Now, Kristal Marshall, she dated Bobby. They did a few years, had two kids together. Didn't work out for whatever reason. We don't know. But I will say this, that there was a certain reason why she was not, it did not work out with WWE and Kristal and Bobby. She played a factor in this. And if you guys remember Kristal, this is the Ruthless Aggression era. Back in 2006, 7, 8, roughly 2007-ish. She was involved in a very, very popular angle on SmackDown, the same show Bobby was on, and that's how she met Bobby in the first place. And she was dating the then GM, general manager Teddy Long. Holla, 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 holla. That's right, player. Teddy Long. They had a wedding, and that's the angle where he had a heart attack, and I think she left. Now, reports have said, that Kristal was released, and they said she was released from WWE. I think it was back in 2007 or 8, but it says due to being, as they call it in any business, entertainment, anything, it's called being difficult. So she was released from WWE regarding this whole thing. And I heard that she did not like the storyline with Teddy Long. She was not pleased about it. She didn't like, they had kissing scenes, stuff like that. I heard she wasn't happy about it. And I heard Bobby Lashley wasn't happy about it. And that's what led Bobby Lashley to getting a release. So that's what pissed him off. And he wanted out of there. And I heard that they had her reports, rumored that Kristal Marshall, they said that she was going to, they wanted her in storyline wise to put down black men and worship and put white men on a pedestal. And Bobby was against it. She was against it. Whole nother big debacle over that. And she got released due to not doing any kind of work because she said no. She actually talked about this in an interview, which I will pull up, stuff like that. And then Bobby Lashley didn't like it either, and he asked for his release. Let's see what you guys got to say in the chat, though. Oh, man. Chris Roof, salute to you. Another simp. Could be. She must be desirable. A lot of men say she's desirable. You said, I'm guessing she's at least 10 years younger or maybe 15. Well, Bobby was born in 76. She was born 83. Bobby's 47. She's 40, 41. So about 6-7 years. And she's not 10 years younger. About 6 or 7. Ain't that bad, Chris. She ain't that much younger than him. Sipping is easy. Yeah, that's to the you can talk to the Sips about that one. I wouldn't know nothing about that. She is cute, but Chris Rue, but nobody's cute enough to get from my career. I gotta give you your due for that, Figure 4 TV. I got actually two answers for that one. That's a yeet and a yeah.
Yeet. Yeah. Yeet. Yeah. Yeet. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeet and yeah. Anyway, let's continue on. Let's see what else you guys got to say. Yep, that's the picture of her, Chris Root. That is Kristal Marshall. They should have opposite to the Godfather 25 years ago, have a simp character AEW that was absolutely hilarious. Not sure. Modern black woman, nothing different. Jezebel and King Ahab. She do like Alicia Fox. I said that. And when she did get released, Alicia Fox took her place. She's definitely not stupid because Bobby's in his mid-40s to late 40s. So he has got to be hypnotized. Definitely have a type. Yep. Sorry, I thought this was from 2023. No, this is back from 2008, Chris. We're not talking about recently with Bobby Lashley. Of course, the reports that are trending right now. We're talking about back when he first left in 2008. And we're saying Kristal played a part in that. She's the main reason. Not so much the WrestleMania payout. That's why I had Gorilla with JR talk about it to confirm that was not the reason why Bobby Lashley left WWE in 2008. That had nothing to do with that at all. Nothing whatsoever. So, the thing about it is, Kristal Marshall talks about this in an interview. She has an interview. She has one herself, actually. And she talked about this whole thing. She talked about, about leaving, of the whole release and everything. So this is going to be interesting. But yeah, this is that's these two. Like I said, they dated for a few years. But Bobby, he didn't like how the storylines was going. If you guys remember, she was in this storyline and she almost married Teddy Long. If you guys remember this part.
And back, richer and poor, sickness and in health, unto death do you.
And that is Kristal Marshall next with Teddy Long. As you can see, her hair is much longer before she rocks the short haircut like she rocks today. But yeah, that is her. And I heard she didn't like that storyline so much. She wasn't really feeling that, for whatever reason. But yeah, it's crazy though. But I know she does an interview about this though. Figure 4 TV. So this is the second time that Bobby is quitting the company. The company never wronged Bobby. Triple H is not the devil. Yeah, it's not a race issue either. I'm so tired of hearing that. So yes, you're right. That's definitely undisputed.
And that is undisputed.
So yeah, Bobby has left the company twice. It's the second time leaving the company. So we're gonna see what the whole deal is with that. What's so crazy about that? But I know, like I said, I know Kristal did an interview about it. I know Teddy Long talked about it as well. They both talked about the whole storyline and everything. So it's gonna be interesting to see what Kristal has to say. Now, them photos I showed you guys, they may be a little old. It's obviously an old picture. She may not look like this today or this today. But so be alarmed. This is a more recent interview. Yeah, Bobby was, when he left in 08, Bobby was about 31, 32, and he's like 47 now. And Kristal was, Kristal was a good 25, 26. And she left in 07. I think she was 25, 26. So she was much younger too. She do not look like this now. So, but we will talk about her interview right now. And she's going to go and ring the bell. This was a recent interview. I believe this interview was, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this interview was a few years ago. It's much more recent. And we're going to see what led to her release and whole storyline with Teddy Long and what happened. We're going to check this out. You guys get the likes up. We are in the locker room. We're talking about why Bobby Lashley, why did he really leave WWE the first time back in 2008? And it was not because of money. So if you guys out there, they report saying Bobby left because he was not getting proper payout for WrestleMania 23 He was underpaid. He was upset. We got one word for that.
That's cap. Totally cap.
So let's get back to it and let's see what Kristal Marshall got to say. This is Kristal Marshall on Ring the Bell, talking about this interview.
Profile storyline with Teddy Long, which eventually led to huge wedding. I mean, that was a big storyline on SmackDown. What was it like learning that you will be in that storyline?
It was freaking awesome. It was everything that, I wanted it to be. We discussed it, and other things happened. So.
After the wedding segment, you were gone from the TV and the storyline kind of dropped. Like, did you know where it was supposed to be going?
Not really. Sometimes we...
After the wedding segment.
All right, before we get to that, it seemed like she said it was everything that she wanted. Then she said it didn't go as planned. Let's play that again.
And Trish, of course, I wanted to kind of expand my palette a bit and kind of see what it felt like to work with different people and see what I can learn from them and what they could teach me.
Later in your career, you were put in the very high-profile storyline with Teddy Long, which eventually led to huge wedding. I mean, that was a big storyline on SmackDown. What was it like learning that you will be in that storyline?
It was freaking awesome. It was everything that, I wanted it to be. We discussed it, and other things happened. So.
After the wedding segment, you were gone from the TV and the storyline kind of dropped. Like, did you know where it was supposed to be going?
Not really. Sometimes we write as we go. I had an idea where it was going to go, but there was never any concrete direction. So that caused a lot of confusion. And my inquiries is ultimately what led to me being labeled as difficult and hard to work with. And that was it.
A little bit after your disappearance.
She said she was labeled as difficult, and that was it. Do you think she was being difficult, or did WWE take it too far as alleged she what the storyline was going? So you guys got to say in the chat here. Chris said 26, the ultimate prime age for a woman. So she would be 42 today. Yeah, she would be about she was born in 83. So yes, this year will make her 41, 42-ish. Yeah, 42. And Bobby, like I said, we already know he's 47, 48. So, but you right on, Chris. Right on, right spot on. But let's continue on. Let's see what else Kristal Marshall had to say. And I know this ain't red pill, but if you guys look there, I know this is wrestling, but I miss wrestling relationship with a little bit of red pill into it. Look at that nose ring. They say, according to Red Pill, they say that when you see a woman like that, you're supposed to pull a Hulk Hogan.
No, brother, doesn't work for me right now.
Just wanted to notate that out. She got the little nose rings, very small. But let's continue on the interview, see what she had to say of Corbin being difficult.
You were released by WWE, which was shocker to all of us, including me, because you were in such a big storyline right before. And then there were so many speculations about what happened backstage. Some said something about your ex-fiancé, Bobby Lashley. Some said about a storyline with Edge. But what can you tell about what exactly?
Did you hear that? Bobby Lashley name was in there. That's exactly one of the reasons why she left. Let's hear that again. Let's hear that again. There it is right there. Said the last idea discussed, which Kristal turned down, giving her some heat, will have her seduce Daddy at the command of Edge. So Edge will gain revenge for stripping of his world title. Kristal didn't feel comfortable with the side of the idea as she is seeing Bobby Lashley. So Bobby Lashley had a legitimate reason why. So just let's point that out. Let's continue on.
Some said about a storyline with Edge, but what can you tell about what exactly happened back then?
I don't know. I wanted to get more information on the storyline. I couldn't, for whatever reason. I didn't know anything about the Edge storyline. They were keeping a lot under wraps for me. And I inquired about what was going on. And I think sometimes what I've learned through life is when you're a woman and you're outspoken and you're an advocate for yourself, you get labeled as difficult, you get labeled as hard to work with, and people don't like that. And wow. Unfortunately, I'm not a fall in line kind of person. I'm going to speak my mind, right, wrong, or indifferent. And I feel like the problem with that is that I was just starting to get to know the higher ups on a more personal level. And it was bad timing on my part. I should have probably gone more with the flow and just waited until I built more of a relationship to voice some of my concerns. And ultimately that worked against me. You know, sometimes you do have to shut the up and just wait until you can get to the next position to where you can speak up for yourself.
Wow. So it was just backstage politics that really caused it.
Yes.
I mean, but this was not the last time we saw you, because you moved to TNA where you had that.
All right. That's Kristal Marshall talking about why she left WWE and being labeled difficult and doing a crazy where she was supposed to seduce Teddy Long in that crazy advance, they said, at the command of Edge. And she was against it, definitely against it. So this is Kristal Marshall here. Now we're going to shift gears. We will go over to Mr. Teddy Long. Teddy Long talked about this as well on, I think he was on Title Match Wrestling, and this was a while back, about 10 years ago. So we're gonna see what Teddy Long had to say about it and see how he felt about the whole thing. Let's get into that. See what he had to say. Let's get the likes up, guys. Get the likes up in the locker room.
Writers.
TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Well, I think what works better is working for a booker. Writers, sometimes they can't write for certain people. And I don't mean this to be racist, but sometimes here's a white guy. He can't write for me because he doesn't know me like that. You know what I mean? The way I got over with my character is I invented player. They didn't give me that. I brought that to the table. They started, when I first started doing it, they didn't like it because they didn't understand. Player, you're not out here in the community. You're not out here with the people. I'm out here. I know.
The bubble.
Right. So I know what it takes. And the way I got player is that I had a dog named Boss, and a lab. And I used to get on, he'd be laying around and, come on, player. I just started messing with the dog, and I just took it to TV and just started saying it. And there was some thing like holla holla. You know what I mean? That was my creation, because one of them told me one time, I don't think you need that holla holla. What do you mean you don't think I need it? This is what I do.
Right.
So I'm just saying, you know, it's better to be with a book where you can kind of throw out your own stuff there. You know what I mean? But because a lot of times, like some of the writers, they can't write for you because they don't know. Nothing against them, they just don't know. Well, I just think it was just something they were trying to do. There was something different. You know what I mean? Something people can look forward to. So, well, okay, let's see what's going to happen here. Something they hadn't seen before.
You got to work a little bit with Bobby Lashley?
Yeah. Well,
what was Bobby like?
Bobby was all right. He was a nice guy. I think he didn't like too much about the wedding. You know, he was dating Kristal at the time.
Yeah.
And I don't like Bobby. You know what this is, you know. Right. But he didn't like that. Well, okay, whatever. The good part about it is my wife was there, and she was on the front row, and she watched the whole wedding. And the other part, what was good about it, is my grandson now that he's 11 years old, but at that time he was about 2, and he was going to be the ring bearer. And so
Teddy Long talks about how Bobby Lashley was upset with the whole storyline between Teddy Long and Kristal Marshall with the wedding. And he said, Teddy Long said, you know what it is. Bobby Lashley, Teddy Long has a wife. She was cool with it, but Bobby was not okay with it. And this will led to his release back in 2008. Now, like I said, he will go on to do TNA later on. And, he had a career there until him and Kristal broke up. And next thing you know, Bobby You know, he was TNA World Champion. We know that you know, he did MMA and all that stuff. We know all of that. And we know that he ended up returning to WWE as well. And he came back in 2018. So, like I said, he accomplished a lot while being out of the WWE for many, many years. But he had a career over there. I remember when he was over there, he was the TNA champion. He did his thing over there. And I think he was the character. It wasn't even called Bobby Lashley. I guess that'd be almost the whole Bobby Lashley name. He is really known as just Lashley. That's what he was known as. But he did, like I said, he did his thing over there. He was champ. I remember that. He made a name for himself outside of WWE. He was, I think, a 4-time TNA World Champion. He won the title 4 times over there. And he definitely made a career. And then and then he, like I said, in MMA, they said he had a great career. He only lost a couple fights. So, like I said, he did well outside WWE. Definitely did. And if you guys remember, he, like I said, was TNA champ. He held the belt on 4 times. 4 times he held the championship. And then he comes back to WWE in 2018. Now we're gonna get to when he comes back to the fold. Now he's returned to WWE, and I'm going to make a point here. I'm gonna get to my point. It's when he returned to WWE, and this is when he made his return to WWE. I think he came back the day after WrestleMania 18 on Raw, and he attacked Elias.
This is incredible! Lashley might hold him up there all night. Wow!
So that was his return to the company. Attacking Elias, been in many, many feuds, and he was going to become a multiple-time WWE champion. Of course, already held the ECW title, then the Intercontinental and United States title. But he said he had an issue with Kristal getting involved with Tay Long. Remember, he had an issue with this. He had a big issue with this here, which is fine from his point. If that's how he felt he was wrong, he had a right to leave the company. But why come back to the company you felt was wrong? Why come back? And not only did you come back to the company and become a multi-time world champion, then you got involved with this storyline here, and this one made you seem like a hypocrite to me.
Wait a minute, guys. No! Bobby Lashley!
Remember, he was involved in that storyline where he was kissing Lana, who was married to Rusev at the time, someone's wife. So you had no problem at all getting involved with somebody else's wife or a significant other in a storyline. No, that would make it uncomfortable, but you had a problem when it came to you. You sound like you're a hypocrite, Bobby, and you definitely come off as a simp. You're a simp, Bobby, and you know that puts you on the list, right?
You just made the list!
So I don't get it, Bobby. You had a problem with this storyline where they were married, but you turn around and do this to somebody else. Now, I know you wasn't with Kristal anymore, but you're still a hypocrite for it, Bobby. Bobby, you know what you was doing, right? I hope you know what you was doing, and we know what you was doing. You are not low.
I didn't know that. You know what you did. I know what you're talking about. I fair and square. You know what you're a legend, man.
Yeah, so this is wrong, Bobby. You're a huge hypocrite and you're a simp for it. And I got the perfect name for you. What should your name be? I like you, Bobby. Great athlete. Bobby Simply. Not Bobby Lashley. You're Bobby simply for that. That's a simp move, man. That's a simp move. And you come off as a hypocrite doing that. Yep, he was with Lana, exactly. He know what he did. But yeah, he got to the he reportedly didn't like the whole storyline with Lana. He was tired of it, as he say, but he had no problem enjoying kissing Lana. And this was going on for several months. And then I think it got too bad where he looked embarrassed. He got embarrassed because he looked too much like a simp. And remember, this storyline ended when Liv Morgan broke up their wedding. That's crazy. He was in the wedding with Lana. He was in the wedding. It got broken up by Liv Morgan. She broke up the wedding. We thought it was due to her having feelings for Bobby Lashley, but it was due to have feelings for Lana. And that's how that whole story angle ended. But that's crazy. He did not like when Kristal was involved, but he got involved with someone else's wife. They say he didn't like it, but we know here at the locker room, we know that's straight cap. We know that's cap.
That's cap. Totally cap.
But yeah, Bobby, you know what you was doing the whole time, man. You're not fooling us. Not at all. But yeah, this is so basically the real reason Bobby Lashley left WWE in its initial run in 2008 is, yes, this is the reason here. Kristal Marshall. Not because of money, not because of injuries, not because of storyline. He's not getting pushed, because he clearly was being pushed. He was the ECW World Champ, involving storylines with Vince McMahon, and he was also in the WrestleMania match with wrestler Donald Trump. That's not the problem. It's none of that. It's not money. This is the problem. And they say it's best to say when you on your purpose, when you on your game, you on your grind, you don't let no woman or anybody compromise that. And if you don't do that, you're going to lose focus. If you don't do that, you're not leading like you should. You're not in charge. You're not being the head of the table. But I know I never heard that, him and Chris got any problems co-parenting. Like I said, she's a mother to their 2 children, and Bobby is also a father to their 2 children. So, I think they're cool now, but she is the reason he left WWE in 2008. And we pretty much heard a confirmation with the Grilling with JR interview. I know Kristal Marshall talked about it too. She knows she was difficult. She wasn't do what she was supposed to do. But yeah, guys, this was crazy though. Definitely a wild one, to say the least. But other than that though, guys, I have nothing else with this subject. This was an interesting subject. Now, we recap. We talked about Bobby Lashley. We talked about him leaving WWE, reportedly for money. We know he went to TNA. He became a multiple-time world champion over there. They said it was money. They said it was creative. It really was Kristal's, her storyline creative that made him leave. And then she did an interview. We see her current day. This is Kristal here again. If you guys like Kristal. Kristal's nice looking. I'm not going to hold you guys. But either way, no matter how good a woman looks, as Figure 4 stated earlier, you stay on your purpose at all times. Do not miss a beat. That's the whole moral of the story. But other than that, though, guys, that's all I have regarding why Bobby left WWE the first time in 2008. What's the real reason Bobby Lashley left the WWE in his first run, which I think was 2005 to 2008 for 3 years. We know he did that run for 3 years. Then he came back to WWE. He had a second run, and that second run was 2018 to 2024. So he's with this second run longer and a much more successful run. But we're talking about his first run. And Kristal Marshall, we talked about her, cover her on Ring a Bell and everything. So I appreciate you guys coming out, checking out the content here at the locker room. Greatly appreciate it. Soon 2 videos will pop up for Toxic Ring Scandal. Check out the 2 videos listed below. Check out the content and media on this channel. You guys already know what it is. It is OUNT.